Welcome to the preparing for job interview session. And we all know how intimidating it is when we are being asked to attend an interview. But it's quite interesting because an interview offers us the opportunity to discuss issues, to exhibit the skills that we have, to show off what we have. And it normally becomes the point for you to sell yourself. But there are different types of interviews. There are interviews that when you go is basically job related. So the interviewer will be asking you to deduce the applicant's job knowledge in terms of job performance and will be listening carefully to whatever answers that you give. There are other interviews that when you go is based on situation. So the applicant may be asked questions based on his behavior. Scenario interviews are all there, behavioral interviews and other kinds of interviews which you should always take note of. Sometimes when you are going for the interview, they won't tell you this is the kind of interview that you are coming for. But at least when they start, sometimes they want to check your stress level. Sometimes they want to know your ability to think outside the box, your ability to express yourself. So those are some of the kind of types of interviews that we have. But when most of us go for interviews, we make a lot of mistakes. We commit a lot of mistakes through how we communicate. People go for interviews and they just talk about themselves. Everything is about them. Listen, your interview is the opportunity for you to showcase what soft skills you have, the experience you have be able to acquire over the period of time, and your ability to express yourself. So when you go for an interview, it's not an opportunity for you to show off, rather to talk about your strength and the opportunities and the reason why you are the best candidate to be given the job. People go for interviews and everything they ask them, they say yes. Because they are so desperate, they look so desperate, they sound so desperate. So any question they ask them, yes, anything, yes, it's totally wrong. It's a total mistake. Listen, you need to understand the fact that the person wants to take you on board, wants is interested in your value. So what value are you bringing? Nobody wants to bring anybody with problems to their organization. They are interested in solutions. So what solution are you bringing? Don't go for interviews and commit the mistake of knowing everything. Then you come across as arrogant, and when any of the interviewees try to teach you something, you seem to know everything. If you know everything, why are you not working? Those are the key questions that the interviewer will ask themselves. And people go for interviews and they are just on autopilot. When the moment they ask them a question, they have learned the answers they want to respond and they just start talking. That doesn't help you at all. So just note these mistakes. Make sure when you go for an interview, you don't talk about yourself. Just be talking about yourself outside the job. When you go for an interview, make sure that you don't say yes to everything and don't have them having know it all approach when you go for an interview as well. When you are going for an interview also, you need to know how to dress. How do you dress when you are going for an interview? What do you put on when you are going for an interview? How do you present yourself when you are going for an interview? And when you are going for an interview, don't lie. Don't say things about your background that are not there. Don't put things that are on your CV that are basically not there. Make sure that when you go for an interview, you are able to express yourself and relate everything to your background, to your experience, and be very confident when you go for an interview, especially if you are at the entry level. You may not have a lot of experience, but in your CV, if you have done something, I mean, during vacation, you have done some work or something, you should be able to express yourself. You should be able to let them know that this and this is what you have basically done. In preparing for interview, I need you to understand clearly that you need to think and consider the qualifications that you have in relation to the position that you are going for. Perform a research about the company carefully and review the job description. People come for interviews and they don't even know why they are there. They don't understand. They don't understand why they are there. They don't know whether their skills relate to the job, to the position. Then you come across like somebody who just wants anything to do, and nobody wants to employ anybody who just wants anything to do. You need to understand clearly. So let's go through the following checklist on how to prepare adequately for an interview, especially during this time that workers are being laid off, where the competition of getting a job, recruitment is so hard that if you're not thinking outside the box, it becomes difficult for you to be employed. The first thing I want you to look at is that when you are looking for a job or you are going for a job interview, take the job description, look at the list of qualification, qualities, and background that they are looking for the ideal candidate. Do you qualify for it? Do I have the skills? Do I have the qualities? Do I have the qualification? When you are going for it and you notice that this is what you have, you speak to those things when you go for the interview, and make sure that you align yourself with the details of what the employer is looking for. Look at the job description that you have been given. Make sure that your ideas, questions about the employer, you can foresee. If you're able to go through that, you'll be able to foresee what they will be asking you when you go for the interview. So just examine the job interview before you go, the job description before you go for the interview. Make sure you understand what is the job description. What do they want? What are their expectations? And how are they going to experience me when I go for the interview? The second thing you need to think about when you are going for an interview is that you should have a good understanding about the job that you are going in for. Don't go for an interview and they ask you, are you coming for an IT officer? You say yes. What do IT officers do? Then you talk about generalization, specifically what is expected from you. What do they hope for you to achieve? Listen, sitting at an interview is an opportunity for you to get a job. And remember, there are other 10, 20 qualified people who are also doing the same thing as you. So how do I become the best? How do I win this interview session? How do I change the mind of those interviewing me? So you need to take that into consideration. You should also be prepared to explain your interest in the opportunity. Listen, don't go and look for a job. Don't go for an interview, and when they ask, why are you here? You say, I'm here. Don't go for an interview, and when they ask you, why do you want this job? Because I saw the interview and I came. No, what do you want to offer? They are asking you what you want to offer. There's an opportunity, but you need to exhibit what you want to offer. And why are you the best person for the role? Remember, the other people have applied, so why you? It's no more your hard skill. You need to exhibit something beyond your certificate. You need to exhibit some knowledge about the opportunity that is being offered to you. When you are going for an interview, you need to prepare and prepare very well. Make sure that when you are going for the interview, you make sure you understand the company and you understand the role that you are going in for. Understanding the company will give you the opportunity, and understanding the company is not just what you read online. Understanding the company is by doing mystery shopping. Go to the company, talk to some few people, understand the vision and the mission of the company, understand who their target market is, speak to it, research about their products and their services, and research about the role and what is the company culture. What is expected from you is key when you go for an interview. Your ability to express the expectations of your employer is always the best for you, because when you look at the interview, they are looking for somebody who understands the work and can work with speed. They are not looking for people they have to spend all the time training for the next 2, 3, 4 months. So how do you come in with a value? It's by researching to the company. What do they want? What are they selling? What do they hope to achieve? What is your vision? These are all things that you take into consideration. So that's the third point when you are going for an interview in preparing for. The fourth point is for you to consider your answers to common interview questions. There are certain interview questions that are very common, and you should be able to prepare for us. For instance, you go for an interview, they ask you, introduce yourself. They already have your CV. They already have your name. All the things is on your CV. They know. They already have it. They have examined it. So the moment they ask you to introduce yourself, they are expecting you to tell them what you offer. They're expecting you to tell them your value. So you don't go, and then when they ask you to introduce yourself, then you start, this is my hometown, and this is the church that I belong, and this is the team that I support. They are not interested in that. They are interested in why are you interested in your role? What is your greatest strength, and why you want to work with them? They want to understand what you are bringing on board, what you have to offer, and the value in what you want to offer. And are you valuable to the team? Listen, they want you to come because they want something special. They want uniqueness. So when you go for an interview and you come across as a normal person, nobody will take you. During this period that is difficult to get work, what are your unique skills? What are your digital skills? We had an interview last week, The interview was done online. The guy couldn't just operate. When we are telling me mute your computer, unmute, the guy doesn't know anything. So what are the interview skills that you have? Are you able to work remotely? What are the new digital skills that you have learned so far? So when you go to the organization for an interview and they ask you, what are you bringing on board? What will you say? Do you actually know what they need? By researching and understanding how to answer questions, it always puts you ahead when you go for an interview. The fifth point that I need us to discuss when you are going for an interview is to practice your speaking voice and your body language. It is important to make a positive and lasting impression during the interview process. Let the interviewer experience your professionalism. Let them want you more to work with them. You can do this by practicing confident, strong speaking voice and know how to exhibit non-verbal communication. Don't go and sit at an interview and picking your nose and then you are doing your shirt. No, those things doesn't help. You need to be able to create an impression. So what impression do you create when you meet people? When you talk to people, what impression do they get? Sometimes your body language will just put you off. You may go for an interview and people will be chewing gum. People will be scratching. And why will you do that? What impression are you creating? And how to talk to go to an interview. How not to argue, how not to raise your voice, how to present yourself is key for you when you go for an interview. The sixth point I want us to discuss is how do I prepare several thoughtful questions for the interviewer? People go for interview and the employers want to know if you have a question for them. People, when normally they go for interview and they ask them, do you have any question for us? The only thing they're interested in money. How much are you going to pay me? Or did I do well? How was my performance? No. They are expecting you to ask them top-notch questions so that they will know that when you come to the organization, it's not just about the money. It's about you asking very intriguing questions, questions that genuinely speaks volume about your thinking capacity. So you may ask questions like, what does a typical day look for a person like me in that position? You may ask them, why do they enjoy working there? What qualities do they see from a successful employer over there? When you ask such questions, they will understand. And it is clear to them that this is a person who understands what he's coming for. So don't go for an interview. And then the worst part is when people come for an interview and after 30 minutes of interview, you ask them, do you have any question for us? They say no. So you came there to do what? The moment you say you don't have any question for them, then you are ready to say yes to anything. Challenge them. Ask key questions that will let them understand that you think and you are particular to detail. That is a skill you need to exhibit when you go for an interview. The seventh point I need us to discuss is to know how to conduct mock interviews. Before you go out for an interview, any of your friends, and you should have valuable friends that bring things on board, friends that are able to help you to grow, a friend that when you sit down will ask you key questions. Make sure you practice. You can sit behind a mirror or anything at all to practice key questions. How am I going to answer this question? When they ask me what am I bringing on board, what will I say? When you go through all that and you go for the interview, realize you are very confident, you know what you are about, and you know what you have to discuss. The eighth point I need us to discuss is the fact that when you are going for interviews, it's very important for us to print copies of our resume in case they ask you. It's not always, but sometimes they ask you, did you bring a copy of your CV? You made a mistake and they do me making reference to you. And when you get a copy of your CV, make sure you rehearse, you look at it, you prepare. Listen, people come for interviews and we notice gaps in their CV. And when you ask them, they say it's a mistake. Who want to employ somebody who come and commit mistakes in their organization? Your employer will be scared. So go through it. Make sure that you understand whatever. Don't lie on your CV. When you lie and you go for the interview and you are asked to explain yourself, you'll be just caught sitting there. So it's very important for you to understand the CV before you go for the interview, all the gaps. With the gaps, I mean, during vacation, what were you doing? Any skill you have been able to get, and what books have you been reading? And when they go for interview, what is your hobby? This whole issue of internet, browsing internet. How do you call that your hobby? You need to understand how to answer some of these questions, because in the long run, it helps to position you very well when you go for the interview. When people come for interviews and they are always late, when you get opportunity to go for an interview, check where the office is located. How do I get there? Get the contact information, search the location. Who should I speak first? It's very, very important. Even when you get the letter from the organization, call them, go then do your own analysis. People come for interviews, and the fact that they don't get the job is because either they come late, or when they enter, they are just sweating, or they are panting. These are all things that affects you when you come for interview. So you need to plan. You need to make sure that the moment you get the letter, come for an interview at this place. What time should I get there? What am I supposed to do? These are all things that you make sure that you get before you go for the interview. The last thing when it comes to interview is that you have an opportunity to sell yourself, to sell your professional skills, to sell your experience. Listen, the interview should come across as your personal sales brochure. It should come across as somebody who have clear knowledge, in-depth knowledge about the job you are going to look for. Listen, people are looking for employers are looking for employees who are coming on board with something new. It's so refreshing when you interview people and realize that they have new ideas. For instance, you go for an interview and they ask you, what new should we change in this organization? I have no idea. Then why should they bring you in? You go for the interview to sell yourself, to sell solutions, to sell what you have done. What have you been able to achieve? So it's very important for you to consider the fact that an interview is an opportunity to sell whatever you have. There are other applicants. And listen, don't care about those applicants. Care about yourself and care about the value that you are going to give to the organization that wants to interview you. So in a nutshell, what we have done today is to discuss how do I prepare for an interview. In preparing for the interview, I made mention of the fact that there are different types of interviews. So when you go for the interview, the way the questions and other things will be, I should actually know whether this is a situational interview, is a job-related interview, so that they can compare everything and ask you all the questions that they have. But when you go for interview, don't commit mistakes of just talking about yourself, just saying yes to everything, just doing the Mr. No or anything they ask you, you know. Please be very careful. If you have no idea, let them understand you have no idea, and don't put yourself on autopilot. And when you go and they ask you, who are you? Then you start, even when they are stopping you, are on autopilot. My name is this, and I come from. Then when they, oh no, you need to complete the sentence. No, they have the right to stop you. And when you are going for an interview, make sure you dress very well. The ladies, don't put anything that will make you very uncomfortable. Your wig, wear nice wig, not colors. All those wigs will not help you. Go for an interview, be very honest. When they ask you a question, if you don't know, tell them, and make sure that whatever you are going to discuss in the interview, you relate it to your experience, you relate it to your background. And when you are preparing for the interview, I give some checklists, about 10. First one is I carefully examine the interview, the job description that you are going in for. Look at it. Does this suit me? Do I fit in this? Don't just go without having to look at the job description that is out there for you. Secondly, consider why you want the job and the qualification. That puts you at a certain level when you have a good understanding of the job that is being offered and why you qualify. Look at these two. Are you the best person for the role? Do you think, considering the other participants, you are the best person to be accepted for the role? The applicant that you are going in for, look at them, that competition. How are you positioned for the role? Now, when you go for an interview, exhibit the scale of understanding the company and the role they want you to achieve. You can only do this by researching about the company, researching about their products and services, and research about the role and the expectations of the role that you are going to perform. And the company's culture, understand their values, understand their colors, understand the industry trends. So when you go and ask you, what do you think about our website? Don't say that when you employ me, I'll give you the feedback. Then you're a joker. What do you think about our website? What should we change? What do you think about the market that we are operating? How do you think we'll be able to survive? This is an opportunity for you to be able to do all this. Consider your answers to common interview questions. What are the common interview questions? You should know that when you go for an interview, they will ask you, why are you interested in the role? Who are you? Tell us about yourself. Tell us about yourself is an opportunity for you to exhibit what you offer. Not for you to go and talk politics or things that are not important, or the country or the village. No, go straight to the point. And what are your greatest strengths? You know your strength. Go to an interview, tell them. Sometimes people want to lie about things they don't know. Tell them, listen, I don't know how to do this. I know how to do this. I'm here to work in a team. I'm here to work with people. My readiness to work, you need to exhibit that. So you go and you practice those questions. When you are going for an interview, make sure that your body language and your speaking voice, the tone, you know how to manage it. Don't go and shout. Know how to present yourself. And when they ask you a question you don't understand, please come again. Please, I don't understand. Just tell them. And make sure that in preparing for the interview, most interviewers want to know what you think about the organization, whether you have any question for them. When you go and tell them you don't have any question, it may be genuine, but you may come across as somebody who has not thought about something. Think about something you want to do. And there are some key things you need to. Why should I work here? How do people who work here, how do they promote them? These are questions. The moment you ask such intriguing questions, then they understand clearly how you want to come and work with them. So you conduct mock interviews, speak to people, check where you are very uncomfortable. Make sure that you work on all those things when you are going for the interview. You should have copies of your CV, certificate, anything that is necessary. They may ask you whether you like it or not. And there's nothing wrong with them asking you whether you have all those things with you when you are coming for the interview. And you need to prepare for your travel. I have seen a lot of people losing out, getting employment just because either they are late, and you cannot anticipate the traffic. You don't know what will happen. You can't. How will you know whether there's going to be a roadblock tomorrow, or whether it's going to rain tomorrow? A lot of interviews that we have done over the past 3-4 weeks on Zoom, on Google Meet, you'll be shocked how unprepared people are. They know, and then when they come on the interview online and they are complaining about data, they are in a hurry to finish. So why? How did you prepare for the interview? Things are changing. Things are not normal. And remotely, you need to be prepared for all that as well. And the last one is, how do I sell myself? An interview is an opportunity for you to develop your sales brochure about yourself to go and sell. So how am I going to sell my professional skills? Listen, you go for interviews and all the people there are first class, second class upper. They have their certificate, hard skill. The organization is interested in what you are bringing on board. Apart from those applicants, why you? Why should they accept you? What are you bringing on board? What is the value of getting you to come and work with them? So it's for you to exhibit those skills. It's for you to speak to those values. It's for you to look at them and let them understand that you know why they should take you. And the reason why they should take you, you need to exhibit that. Through your knowledge about the job, let them understand that you have read about the company and you understand what they are doing and who their target market is. You understand where they want to be in the next 2-3 years. You should understand their position in the share, in the market share. You should understand who are their competitors. The moment you start speaking volumes to some of these technical issues, you realize that you become on top of the interview. Thank you very much. If you have any question, just post it for me. I will respond appropriately. Thank you.